participants, this is Honorable Senator Vin Gopal. He's a state senator for New Jersey from the 11th Legislative District, and he serves as the Senator Majority Conference Leader and Vice Chair of the Senate Higher Education Committee. Senator, thank you for joining us today. We're honored to have you.
Thank you guys so much. I hope you've had a good and productive day, and to the organizers, everyone at Influencer and everyone who's worked today, not just the participants, but the organizers today. Thank you. As chair of the New Jersey Senate Education Committee, we had a hearing a few weeks ago on mental health in our K-12 school systems. Unfortunately, now mental health is at an all-time high, with depression and anxiety, substance abuse for those who are older. So we are doing a lot in New Jersey right now to tackle a lot of that, including increasing the number of social workers, therapists, and guidance counselors throughout our 600 plus school districts. As we see an increase, even a child during COVID who might have missed a prom or graduation or something their sibling may have had that they may have not had, we see a big increase in mental health. So as a state senator, and also coming from a first generation, my parents are from southern India, and I used to go back every year to Kerala, where my grandparents lived until they passed a few years ago, and they would always teach me the important values of taking care of your mental health and your well-being, and it's something that I know that you guys are all going through today, and each and every day, and I know that was a big part of today. So it's great to say hello to everyone. Congratulations to the winners today, and I know you had a contest and a lot else through the Academy today. So honored to spend a couple minutes with you. If anyone ever needs anything, you can always follow me on Twitter at Vin Gopal, and good to say hello for a few minutes.
Thank you very much for joining us. Your words were very much appreciated.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining us, and especially, it is going to be a great encouragement for each and every student who is participating today. The public speaking contests are still going on. We are going around the final round. We would love to have you here and listen to the wonderful speeches today.
Yeah, I look forward to it. I'll be hearing them. So thank you again.
Yeah. So we will go ahead with the speeches now.
Yep. All right. So we're currently doing the high school public speaking finalists. The topic is wealth achievement gaps. Guys, start the final round right now. So without further ado, all the participants will be receiving a participation certificate, and winners will be receiving a winner certificate when they become available. The first finalist is Kaushal Jha. The second finalist is Sahana Pillai. The third finalist is Orja Shah. The fourth finalist is Dhyani Shah. And the fifth finalist is Vivan Shah. You guys will be, you should have gotten a notification asking you to go back to the breakout room. You will have 5 minutes to prepare that speech, the same speech you gave in the breakout room. You have 5 minutes to prepare that speech again, and you'll be presenting in front of a larger panel of judges in the main room. Okay? And with that, let's begin our public speaking final round. Our first speaker is going to be Kaushal Jha.
The rich get richer and the poor get poorer is a famous quote that a lot of people have heard, that has been said by an English poet of the 19th century, Percy Shelley. This quote encapsulates today's socioeconomic status, as the resources that these high-income families have access to allow them to access more opportunities, while the lower-income families are left in their dust, without the resources nor the opportunities to become successful. In order to allow the lower income to gain more resources and opportunities, we must ensure that there is equality in the type of education that they get. Education will lead to more opportunities, which in turn will lead to more resources. We must diversify schools with lower and higher income children instead of separating them, as this separation creates a superficial boundary between the two classes. On top of that, the government could put more money into education, as a lot of impoverished areas have very rundown schools and low motivated teachers. The government should put more money into renovating these areas in order to allow better access to education, such as textbooks, Chromebooks, and public library centers in the school. These facilities will allow these lower income students to compete with the higher income students. In addition, the government must make sure, or the school must make sure, that their teachers are very passionate about their job. As in my personal experience, as well as my friends' personal experiences, a lot of teachers that once they get contracts like a tenure, start losing motivation and passion to teach, and they start caring less. So we must make sure that the teachers that we hire are of good quality and will remain passionate throughout the years. In order to solve the resource problem for these lower income families, implementing a system such as Universal Basic Income, or UBI, would be extremely helpful and beneficial, as it will decrease the gap between the classes, leading to more people getting the resources they require, and therefore closing the achievement gap a little bit more. Universal Basic Income is basically where certain families that don't make a ton of money or a certain amount of money will receive a kind of bonus check every month. This in turn will allow them to become more independent and have more resources. The way this differs from the welfare programs that already exist are that these welfare programs, such as, let's say you are a single mother of 2 children and you're unemployed. So you're getting these unemployment benefits from the government. Let's say you get employed to a minimum wage job. And now the employment welfare system doesn't really apply to you anymore. You now lose out on a lot of money that you need in order to stably climb up the resources and opportunities. UBI has been tested in multiple different countries, such as Belgium and France, as well as Australia, to ensure that it works. So with these various implementations of these programs, the rich alone won't get richer. The poor will too, and society as a whole will prosper.
Thank you very much, Kaushal. The public speaking high school topic was wealth achievement gaps. Wealth achievement gaps. Once again, thank you very much. Good job, Kaushal. Our next speaker will be Sahana Pillai.
You might like green tea, boba tea, or even iced tea, but what we need is unity. Unity amongst the rich and poor. Unity amongst all of mankind. And in order to achieve this, what we need is the T plan. The T plan is a multifaceted plan that tackles this problem at its roots. It figures out the treasury, education, environmental, and aided aspects of this problem so that we can end this issue overall. It is a well-known fact that we need money to survive. But although money doesn't lead to happiness, it is a basic need so we can fulfill our daily needs. And this is why, with the Treasury, we're going to be working with many NGOs, helping them work together and pooling their resources so that we can give money to impoverished areas. We can also fund the other plans by helping bring in better education, more hospitals, etc. With education, people need to understand the importance of money and how to use it, as well as other basic things such as math, reading, and science. So in order to teach people these things, we need to bring a rise to financial literacy and other economic educations. This way, if you were to teach a student about microloans, etc., they would open up businesses, which would require workers, and then the business would grow. This would then need more workers, and this will increase the socioeconomic status of the region. By doing so, these impoverished areas will be able to get on level with richer places, so we can help these people. We also need to take into consideration that people don't have these opportunities at hand. So we need to send out more scouts from private companies and other NGOs so that they can figure out what talents people have and pinpoint them, making them shine by offering internships, etc. This can provide as a role model to other people in the area, helping them to strive harder so that they can do the same. But what often people come across is that they can't work in these poor environments. How is someone expected to write the SAT in a dim lit room with the wallpaper falling off the walls? The simple answer is they shouldn't and they can't. Which is why we need to start pushing more for high school students and other volunteers to be able to renovate these areas. We can do this through NGOs such as GLA, which help bring high school students to poor areas to help renovate them. By using these NGOs and more, and making them more widespread and well known, we can tackle this issue so that people don't need to live in poor environments and they can live in the fresh air that they need so that they can study well and get a more successful future. But naturally, this isn't the only problem. People also need to take into care Medicare and healthcare, which is why we need to get more hospitals in these areas, in impoverished areas, as well as more doctors and psychiatrists to live closer. We can do this by having people with certain degrees in medical areas live there by giving them discounts on shelters, etc. With this incentive, we can start up more hospitals and people don't need to worry about whether or not they can see the next day. Just because they have a cut on their hand, they don't need to worry about an infection because they will have the resources there so that they can survive and thrive. So with the tea plan, we can sweeten the lives of the impoverished areas and enter a new era where the only flavor of tea is unity.
Very nice job. Our next speaker will be Urja Saha.
Whenever you walk into a classroom, the first thing that any teacher says is that the sky's the limit. However, in 21st century America, this statement couldn't be any more false. It's not the sky that's the limit. It's one's parents' bank account. It's how much money someone has to spend on opportunities, to spend on extracurriculars. Because at the end of the day, what everything boils down to is who takes the extra step. In the 21st century, most children in America go to public school, where the school itself is free. But what colleges look for is extracurriculars. Who is taking the extra step out of school? And most schools, they don't have all extracurriculars in their clubs. And some schools are so impoverished that they don't have any extracurriculars. What about the kids who can't do what they want because they don't have the money to put their extra foot out there? For them, in the status quo, life is hopeless. However, to make everything start on a clean slate, we should make colleges only count extracurriculars that are run by the government. Of course, these extracurriculars will be funded by the government, and everyone will want to try out for them because those are the only ones that count. However, these will be tryouts, not money loads. Students will all have to show their abilities, how strong they are in a specific field to participate in an extracurricular. What will matter is not how much money one has, but how good of a soccer player they are, how good of a public speaker someone is, how good of a musician someone is. All that matters is ability. Now, I'm not saying that students' extracurriculars should be limited to the government. Of course, that's not true. I'm just saying the only ones that will count for colleges are the ones that are government run, because there we can have 100% guarantee that students got in on their own abilities accord. Now, it's important that we do this because poverty is a cycle. When someone is born poor, right now in the current situation, their life is destined to be pretty terrible. Because if someone is poor, they can't participate in complex extracurricular activities. Hence, they probably won't get into a great college, and in life, they probably won't get a good job either. It's not fair for someone who's poor to have their destiny be also just as poor as their bank balance. So in order to make truly the sky be the limit, we have to make there be no limit on opportunities, because poverty is not something that one deserves from the beginning. Instead, success should be earned. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Urja. Very nice speech. Thank you very much. Our next speaker will be Dhyani Shah.
We all are experiencing many advancements in the 21st century, which have been great for all of humanity. Things such as electric cars or more AI-related fields are very prevalent in the news and with no doubt are helping many problems we have faced. Yet the same age-old issues still remain unsolved to this day, especially in the field of education and receiving it. What do you feel is the number one dividing factor between successful and the unsuccessful in education? It all comes down to one thing, which is the achievement gap. This can most simply be defined as unequal access to opportunities, in this case, in high school, which may be the result of wealth. Although it has definitely gotten better over the years, there are still statistics provided by the University of Columbia which prove that students of lower income families in the 10th and 11th grade have the same reading and writing skills as kids of wealthier families in the 8th grade. So the question is brought up on how we can provide every single child equal access to education and opportunities for them to succeed in life. We first must look at our mindsets and change them. Some find education as a source of wealth and money. This is a major reason why this gap even exists in the first place. This is obviously seen in states with more poverty, and there's a clear correlation between that and the academic success. For example, in Mississippi, there's a very high poverty rate in America, and it only has a 59.7% graduation rate. If we treat every child equally, maybe all children across the US will be able to graduate and find a good lifestyle ahead of them. But what factors contribute to their success? The environment is a big one. Some people have the luxury of going to different libraries to get an ergonomic environment and to study in a quiet and sane place. While other students have to work in busy places such as Stop and Shop, and they have 15 minutes in between their shifts and they have to study within that time. Would you be able to study when there's constant beeps and scans and screams? There's also another reason why this may be an issue, such as funding for extra classes. Some people have the sources to get a private tutor for the SAT, while others would be lucky to even get a practice book. This will lead to an obvious difference between their scores and opportunities for college admissions. This can be solved through government programs and more funding provided for education and extra classes for these underprivileged families. Although some opportunities for these students do exist, they're not brought to their attention. Things such as scholarships and events specifically designed for lower income families are few in number, but also overlooked. It is not as promoted as it should be, and it should be promoted more, such as other national merits. These often go unused and in the end are useless. We must market these opportunities more and treat it the same as others. I propose an app which allows students to find these opportunities and utilize them to their greatest extent. By putting in all your info, it shows you opportunities just for you on a local and national scale. Overall, we need to see each child as equal. We must stop looking at their race or wealth or gender and look at more important things that matter. For example, their ability. We must look at their potential and their eagerness to learn. Every child has the possibility to shine if given the chance to. We're living in the 21st century, so let's start acting like it and close this gap together.
Very nice job, Dani. Thank you very much. And last but not least, our final high school public speaking finalist, Vivan Shah.
Millions of immigrants enter America every single year with the hope to shatter the glass walls surrounding them that is limiting their achievements and potential. America is a hotspot for this because of one sole reason: the American dream. It offers and promises people that they can live however they want, live with all the freedom they want, and learn as they seek to. But is this really the case? Do you get to live the American dream regardless of your financial status? The truth is that it's a big lie. Low-income households do not nearly have as many opportunities and resources as those of high-income households. And together, we must fix this. Colleges are working on trying to find a solution, as they are letting more people of minorities into their colleges. But one thing that won't work in this is that those people never got the same education compared to those that are wealthy. Due to this, they aren't as prepared. And even though they're going to a great college, they won't be able to get the best out of that place because they were never ready to start with. Now, due to this, there is one sole reason, and it's because of the dark past our country's had. If you take any white community and compare it to an African American one, unfortunately, it's proved that the white community will always have the higher pay rates in their job. And this is due to something that our country faced almost a century ago. In the 1930s, redlining was established, a process that made sure that every single African American community was not given any of the resources that white ones have. And due to this, we are still facing devastating impacts from it. African American communities and other places that aren't as wealthy are not given the same education that those of high status are given. Specifically, extracurriculars are not prominent there at all. And colleges, which care the most about extracurriculars in our present day, will see that these people did not care to go past what they were learning in school. And they will think that they never had the driving passion that they're looking for. And this is not fair to those who don't have as much money. Just because they're stuck in that cycle of poverty doesn't mean that they should not be allowed to go to a college of their dreams. And we can fix this by allowing the public education system to have more extracurriculars that are good enough to compete with the private ones. Doing this will allow those who don't have as much money to find an affordable place to learn more. Additionally, summer courses, something that everybody needs to enhance their learning capabilities, have become way overpriced, as they're worth over $2,000 for just a 6-week course. If we can lower these costs down for something that is just pure knowledge, so many more people would be able to learn more and showcase their abilities in their academics way better. So due to this, nobody of low wealth is able to show colleges that they have the driving force to be in them. And you can see this in your everyday life. In robotics competitions, the schools that do not have the funding have walls and capabilities that do not allow the teams to success. There are parts that are bent and broken, tools that don't even function. How can these kids who hope to achieve great limits and great heights not even have a chance? So together, as proud American residents, we must rise up from the dark past that our country has faced, and together unify and rebuild the American dream.
Thank you very much, Ivan. Very powerful speech. That concludes our high school finalists for public speaking.